Hello everybody, this is SodaFan2K10 here, welcoming you to another Wooden Railway Custom Spotlight. And today we're taking a look at Buster the Steamroller, a member of the Pack, who are a team of construction vehicles owned by Miss Jenny Packard. The Pack was introduced in Series 6 of Thomas and Friends, and then went on to feature in their own spin-off show, which unfortunately only lasted for 13 of the 26 episodes planned. But out of all of them, all of the Pack members got their own episode, but Buster here actually managed to get 2 of his own episodes. One in which he helped to flatten molehills on a football pitch, and another where he had a race against Max and Monty, and won despite being the slowest vehicle. So already, I quite like Buster as a character. We'll get into that a little bit later. But let me talk about why I made Buster in the first place. So, all the Pack characters, out of all the Pack characters, only 2 of them were never made in Wooden Railway. That being Ned and Buster here. All the others at some point got released as models, but these 2 sadly never did. And that's the classic models, I should point out, because of course in the CGI series we got 2 more vehicles in the form of Darcy and Brenda, but they were introduced long after Wooden Railway was discontinued. So, at a certain time in the CGI series, we were starting to get a lot of, Pack episodes. Jack came back in King of the Railway, and then he, Max, Monty, Alfie, and Oliver all came back in Legend of Lost Treasure, and went on to star in an episode in Series 20. And then in Series 23, they really got a lot of time in the spotlight, because they appeared in these specials, All Tracks Lead to Rome and Minds a Mystery. And then they appeared in at least 3 more episodes in Series 23. And this was about the time when I was starting to get into collecting a lot of the models I was missing from my collection on eBay. So I already had Jack, Alfie, Isabella, Byron and Oliver, but then slowly I managed to collect Max, Monty, Nelson, Patrick, Kelly and the Take and Play version of Ned to complete my collection. So Buster was the last one that I needed in order to complete my collection of the Pack, and all of these Pack episodes that were coming out at the time were really inspiring me to really want to make Buster, because I was really getting into the Pack, and they are a really cool concept, a cool idea to include in the TV series. I really like all the episodes they appear in. They're all really great characters, and that was my drive mainly, to make Buster. So it doesn't take a genius to work out what model I used to make Buster. It's obviously based on a Wooden Railway George, and I will show a little comparison to that later, but let's take a little look at Buster himself. I usually, when looking at models, I usually start with the face, but we're going to talk about that at the end. You'll see why later. So here's a close-up of the side of Buster. It's mainly just a repaint of a Wooden Railway George. It's just painted dark red. It's actually the same red that I used for the open trucks that I built from scratch. So it's just red and then yellow lining. Painted the wheels, painted the roller. I even painted this part right here, the sides of the roller. Painted his flywheel. It's not perfect. You can see the yellow lining as well. Nowhere near perfect. I didn't use masking tape or anything. It was just all freehand. And then there's the back, where he has... I'm not sure what that is, but looking at images of Buster's model, he has this thing at the back. I think it's actually more 3D than this, but I just painted it black just to make this a little bit more simple. And then there's the side. It's not quite symmetrical because he has all these other little details. This curved line and this little square of yellow. And I'm using a lot of technical terms here, I realise. But the thing about Buster, I always thought that Buster's model in the TV series was a repaint of George's TV series model, which is why we never saw him after Series 5. But that's not the case, because the Pack models are large scale. They're a much larger scale than what the TV series was working with at the time, and that's simply because of all the mechanisms for, like the likes of Jack, Oliver, and Alfie having, being able to spin around and move their buckets up and down. To fit all these mechanisms into, such small models would have been nigh on impossible. I mean, they had a hard enough time making the narrow gauge engines, and when you're thinking about fitting an eye mechanism, a mechanism to make them move, to make their buckets go up and down, for Alfie and Oliver to spin around, and what have you, it would have been nigh on impossible. So they had to go with a larger scale. So Buster obviously couldn't have been the same model as George. And looking at pictures, like behind the scenes pictures of Buster's TV series model, he is actually significantly different to George. Like on this side of him, I think it's this side, he has like a bar or something that connects to the middle of his wheel up to where I think I've painted that yellow square. So I didn't, this isn't a perfect representation or replica of Buster's model. I just wanted to go with something simple because I thought that, this is something that I thought Learning Curve would have done. Would have just taken the Wooden Railway George and painted it like this. I can't believe that they never did, to be honest. But never mind, that's what I've gone ahead and done. I even painted that red line that you see on the roller as well. It's nowhere near straight, but I didn't really care that much. And while we're looking at this, let's go ahead and take a look at the face. You'll notice that it's a little bit distressed. If I flip it on the top here, you'll see a crack at the top, and then also down the middle of his face, you'll notice this white stress mark. Well, that's just because of when I took the face, which came from a Take and Play George, which I'll show you in just a minute. I didn't take as much care as I normally do, and it was on the verge of snapping, and so that's why that white stress line is there, because right where that crack is, it was about to snap. And the reason I chose that face, it's a Take and Play George face. Here is a Wooden Railway George, and that's let's take a quick look at the face on that. So I didn't want to just use this face because it's George's face, and it looks too much like George to me to look like Buster. So that's why I went with a Take and Play George's face, because it has the same shape and it's a similar size. But the other thing is that, I'm sorry, but this face does not look anything like George. If it will focus for us, there we go. It doesn't look anything like George. It's just too happy. He's got this big wide smile, and yeah, I just thought that would be the best version to go with. There is a Buster Trackmaster model, which would have been more ideal, because that's a more, it's obviously Buster's was a more accurate face. But Buster's Trackmaster model, like most of the Trackmaster models of the pack, is one of the rarest pieces of Thomas merchandise as far as I can tell. So I didn't want, not only could I not find a Trackmaster Buster, I didn't want to take what was, supposedly a rare model and rip the face off. I could have made a cast of one, but, I couldn't even find one on eBay to begin with. So I just went with the next best thing that I thought of, which was the Take and Play face. The other thing that I did was I used a gold Sharpie to colour in the top of his funnel. And then he also has this little thing. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but Buster has it and George doesn't. So it's just a small piece of wood that I coloured in with the gold Sharpie as well. So it's there, it's just extra little bit of detail. Oh, the other thing is, along his cab, you'll see that it says Sodor Construction Company. There is an image of Buster. It's like a behind the scenes image. It's like his ortho image of his model, if you will. And it's a side on view like this. So all I did was I basically cropped out that lettering, and then I printed it off on a bit of paper and I stuck it on. So I'm no good at letters or numbers with paint anyway, but to try and get this many letters in such a small space would have been next to impossible. There was no way I was going to do that. So I knew straight away that that's what I was going to do, was just print it out. So yeah, that's Buster. I'm really happy with him. I haven't seen too many other people make Buster in Wooden Railway form. So, I think this is a pretty unique model, and I'm really happy to have him. One little fun story that I want to tell with regards to him. Something that happened during the process of making him. I'm not sure how well you can see it. Probably not at all. There we go. Right underneath his face on his roller, or the support for the roller, is a bit of a crack. What happened was, when I was painting him, I gave him his first coat of paint, and then I put him down on my desk next to me, and I almost immediately knocked him off my desk, and he fell straight onto the floor. And I don't know how he landed, or how it managed to happen. Maybe he landed like this, but the George model landed, and the roller basically flew off to the corner of my room. So it completely snapped off. Luckily, it was a clean break, so nothing extra fell off. But yeah, that's just a little thing I wanted to point out, was something that happened with him. It was a very simple fix, but I thought it was just an interesting story to tell. So yeah, that's Buster, and I'm really happy with him. I'm looking forward. I've already written an episode about him, which I really want to make. So hopefully that'll be in the near future. And I just think he's a great addition to the collection of the pack. So thank you all very much for watching this model. Let me know what you think of him down below, and I will see you all next time for another Wooden Railway Custom Spotlight. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you then.